is Lebo Thoka. I'm a Gauteng-based fine artist. The mediums that I explore is photography, and currently it's textile works. The overall themes within my work is themes of Black womanhood, feminist topics, femicide, and just exploring Black womanhood within the general society, religion, spirituality, and so forth. Yeah. I was blessed and lucky enough to win the WomxnToWatch Award 2022. It's been an amazing opportunity for me because it came at the right time, because I was seeking to be within a community of artists. Because I find that being an artist is a very lonely job that no artist really talks about out loud. Just in general, the practice of being an artist is quite lonely, because you have to go inside internally all the time to come up with ideas, to come up with bodies of works and concepts and stuff like that. So it's a lot of solitudinal work. And so I just sought that sort of craving, especially coming out of the pandemic, that craving for like community, even just interacting with people. For me, I find that quite inspirational in a very primal way, of just being able to talk to somebody else. Even if their medium is nowhere near what I'm working with. I actually love that. I love it when people work with mediums that are completely opposite to mine. Yeah. When I started my first photographic series that had me as the main muse, I would say. For me, it was in response to, at the time, I think it was 2016 or 2017, the Mokwena story, which was about a young woman who was murdered by her partner, and how the entire country, South Africa, responded to that, and how the media handled that, and how that in itself sort of put a lens to other stories which were not given as much attention, and how that story was treated. It was kind of treated as like a story and not about a real person. And so for me, at the time I was still a student, and I had my first fine arts photography project. So we were tasked with creating a body of work within the fine arts photography realm, because the degree that I studied was mainly commercial photography. I just kept thinking about that situation with Mokwena and just create works based off of that and based off of other women who had died by femicide, and whose stories I felt had to be spoken about again, because I didn't feel like they were stories. I felt that they were real people. And so the reason why I use myself is because by me placing myself as the muse within these works, within these photographic works, I was unknowingly at the time, I was basically displaying my own form of solidarity with these situations, purely from the perspective of the fact that it could happen to me, purely because I'm a woman living in South Africa, so I'm not exempt from this reality. So that's the main reason. Currently, I'm exploring textile in the form of wool. I actually have been having a craving, I would say, to explore more tactile medium, since mainly my work is photographic, and it's very digital in nature. So it's a lot of editing, a lot of staring at a screen. The most tactile point of it is shooting and creating the outfits and the costumes that I create. But after that, it's purely digital, and it only becomes real for me once I see the prints. But even then, I can't touch them. And so that fragility, I got tired of it to some degree. I'm still doing photography, but for me, this residency is allowing me to explore wool, which is very different from the medium that I'm used to. Particularly a technique called punch needling. It's mainly a technique in embroidery used to create carpets, used to create rugs. Because I remember one person said in a YouTube video, punch needling is literally like painting with wool. And for me, I've always admired painters. A lot of my photographic work is actually inspired by painters and the technique of painting. And so because I can't do it, I was just like, what's the nearest thing? And then videos and just doing research on this technique, and I just found that maybe I can take my own love for creating imagery and having this craving of needing a tactile medium, and just sort of fulfill that need through this wool. So it's all very new. And I'm just grateful to be able to have a studio space to explore it. I had a thought, I had an idea, And I just wanted to use this medium of wool to try and translate that idea, which I'm still hammering out, because it's my first time creating works that are not figurative, that are not as vibrant in terms of aesthetics, aren't as quick to understand, I could say. So for me, that's been a challenge in itself. It's firstly using a medium I've never used, just like exploring a thinking that I've never explored, which is creating abstract works which have a deep philosophical discussion underneath. So for me, the wool itself has really taught me how to meditate without realizing that I am. Yeah, the works take longer because I constantly have to do a repetitive motion all the time for hours. It's not the same as in Photoshop where I can Command C, copy something, and then Command V, and then paste it somewhere, and it's just like, well, that's it. And if I don't like it, I can change the color. I have to pull out the wool and start from scratch if I don't like what I just created. And so I find that quite frustrating, but very meditative still. For me, that's been the biggest lesson. And also the challenge of trying to translate very philosophical ideas that I have in a very simplified way that I have to almost release control whether or not that idea will even come through, which is scary. Whether or not the idea will actually come through in the medium you've chosen. It's scary because I don't know how it's going to be received. I have no idea, especially if there's people who appreciate my work because of like the colors and the overall, the particular structure of aesthetics, the way it is. I'm going in a completely different direction. That's why it's been challenging, because for me, the main thing that I wanted to explore is texture. And so I kind of just wanted to shift away from color completely. And that is a challenge in itself. So I'm really challenging myself in a lot of ways. I'm taking out color, I'm working on a 3D surface. Yeah, it's pretty much out the box for what I'm used to, and I wanted that. Because, you know, in hindsight, it's just like, why did I do this to myself? But I'm here, and I'm really enjoying it. As challenging as it is, but growth needs some fear.